United Solo is thrilled to present Things I Learned in Isolation, written by and starring Mary Miller!
Can you hear me?
No.
No. Can you hear me now?
No.
No. How about now? You know, one of the things that I discovered during this coronavirus thing is that I am a lot more paranoid than I ever realized. From the moment it started, the first thing that I did was confiscate a can of Lysol from the supply closet at work, and I sprayed it everywhere I went. Oh, and I was reprimanded for it too. When a guest complained that the smell of Lysol was burning her eyes, upper management came to me and asked in that non-confrontational way, you know, that they teach in upper management school. Mary. Are you spraying Lysol? Well, duh, of course I'm spraying Lysol. There's a virus out there going around killing people, yes! I thought. But I didn't say, no, I just nodded my head and bowed. 2 days later, the government shut everybody down and I felt vindicated. So my stint in isolation began that night with a mad rush to the gas station for toilet paper, paper towels, and alcohol. No, the rubbing kind of stuff. I knew there was nothing on the shelves of Winn-Dixie, but nobody had thought about the gas stations before for anything other than lottery tickets and beer. And when I got home that night, oh yes sirree, I washed my hands for a full 20 seconds while singing happy birthday to myself twice. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to Mary. Happy birthday to me. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to take you through it twice. But anyhow, it was kind of fun at first, you know? Sort of exciting. A game of survival. Something that we all had in common and we could share on Facebook and then judge each other. You know about the number of likes. So, number one, things I learned in isolation. I do use more toilet paper than I thought. No, it's been a revelation. But I have never spent this much time at home before. And I have never worried about not being able to buy it at Winn-Dixie. I mean, why toilet paper was the first thing that disappeared from the shelves of Winn-Dixie, I will never know. But it did. And my first post, it scored a total of 31 responses. 13 people liked it, and 18 people laughed at it. You know, my only question is, do those 18 people laughing at it? Are you the ones hoarding it? Oh, are you the ones out of it? Actually, I should tell you, there is a lizard living in my place now. Oh yeah. I tried to catch him, but I can't. And I know he's still there, I just can't seem to find him. But it's not his fault. You see, early in the morning, about 9 o'clock, early in this pandemic, I got a text that woke me up from my friend Amy. Ding! Alerting me to the fact that a tornado was on its way. I mean, as if the virus wasn't bad enough. I mean, my first thought was to ignore it. Then I looked outside, and it was black as midnight at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I jumped up, I ran downstairs, I threw open the door of the patio, and I put in all that plastic patio furniture that had been sitting outside. By the time I got it all inside, shut the door, took a picture to post on Facebook, and then I checked my phone for the weather app, you know, just to see how long the storm might last. It had passed. But honestly, I did not put all my stuff out immediately, no. I waited until after the sun came out before I unfolded everything and put it outside. That was when I discovered a little lizard had gotten tangled up in the legs of the folding table. And when I reached down to catch him, his tail came off in my hand. And instead of running outside and escaping, that little lizard ran clear across the room and disappeared between a crack between the wall and the floor. I figured he'd escaped. Do you know when I got down on all fours? I realized that crack wasn't big enough for anything to get out. You know, people ask me if I have a pet, you know, a dog or a cat. I say, no, I don't have pets. I take care of my mother. My 3-year-old mother. And I have for the past 10 years. Oof. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to me. I mean, I just can't take on the responsibility of another living thing. But then I did put out a little bottle cap of water. I mean, I may not have pets, but I don't want a little lizard to die. No. Number 2, things I learned in isolation. My kitchen has a stove. Oh my gosh! This was an amazing post. I got 70 responses, 41 laughing faces, 27 likes, 1 heart, 1 wow, and also 25 comments. Most of them agreed with me. Some offered recipes. I have a friend in New York who used the drawer under the oven to store her sweaters for winter. And then there was a comment from a man who just said ROLF. What is it? M-A-O? R-O-T-F-L-M-A-O. To which I said, what? To which he said, rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. Honestly, I don't know how I felt about that particular response. I liked it anyway. Oh, you know another thing that I've realized during this isolation is that I'm a lot more accident prone than I ever noticed before. I mean, I've been very alone for 2 weeks and I had already sprained my ankle and I almost broke my big toe. I sprained my ankle when I heard a loud banging, clanging, sucking noise coming from the townhouse next door. Being paranoid that something going wrong over there might affect me, I jumped up and ran to the window. Unfortunately, I didn't jump up high enough to clear the extension cords that were wired to my computer and charging my phone, and I fell against the wall. Bam! I took 2 pictures out with me before I ended up on the floor. And I hobbled to the kitchen. I made a nice pack and I wrapped it around my ankle. Then I hobbled back upstairs and I got into bed, put my foot up on a stack of pillows just to make sure that it was higher than my heart. And then I took an Advil. I know. Every post on social media says taking ibuprofen during this coronavirus then could worsen the effects of the virus should you get it. I just took a deep breath and I waited for the swelling to go down. Do you know, later that afternoon I get a call from my friend Linda. Hello! Telling me she's going to bring me one of the homemade face masks that she and Amy are making down at the theater, you know, to give to people in need, especially those at the hospital. It seems that along with the shortage of toilet paper, there's also a shortage of face masks. Now, my first thought was to tell her to wait. But then I desperately needed a mask that I could wash and wear. So I asked her instead she'd just wrap it around the doorknob outside, you know? I'm sure she understood that I was just paranoid about opening the door and letting in some germ that she might be carrying with her, you know, unbeknownst to herself. And that was true. But I mean, honestly, I just sprained my ankle. And I didn't want to end up in the hospital. I mean, those people already have something else to do, taking care of someone like me. You know, by the time I finally did hobble downstairs and open the door, you know what I found hanging on the doorknob? It was a great big gift bag. And along with my face mask were 2 rolls of toilet paper, a miniature bottle of vodka, some tonic water, and a card wishing me, "Happy birthday, Mary!" Yeah, happy birthday, Mary. I hobbled to the kitchen and I made myself a drink. Number 3, things I learned in isolation. I can make breakfast last until lunch. Actually, no, it really wasn't that popular. Probably because it's a sign of being lazy. And we don't like to appear lazy to strangers or to friends. Unfortunately, it only scored about 19 responses. That broke down to 12 likes, 7 laughing faces, and just 1 comment from a man who said he could make breakfast last until dinner. Oh, let me see. If you're wondering about my mother, well, so am I. Do you know I have not seen her since we moved her to a nursing home at the beginning of all this? Now I know what you're saying, a nursing home, is it safe? But honestly, we were lucky to get her in there. She gets 3 meals a day. She's looked after 24/7. I mean, there's a doctor on call, and she is kept safe from the outside world. It's only until you can walk again, Mom. It seems if you can't walk, you can't stay in assisted living. And well, Mom fell Saturday morning right before they were scheduled to go into lockdown Saturday night. And unfortunately, they couldn't move her to the nursing home until Monday morning. And if I'd wanted to take her home with me, you know, to take care of her over the weekend, they would not have let her back in at all. Funny thing was, the overnight nurse that we hired to look after her on Saturday and Sunday called me early Monday morning to tell me that Mom had insisted on getting dressed up, fixing her hair, and putting on a little lipstick before they rolled her over to the nursing home. I get my vanity from my mother. We all do, my sisters and I. She sees us as a reflection of herself. And if we don't try to look our best, she'll look at us in that way that says, "You're disappointing me." So naturally, I got dressed up too. I fixed my hair and I put on a little lipstick. But all I could do was watch from a distance as they rolled her in through the double glass doors. Both of us smiling, waving, looking our best, saying goodbye, bye. "I'll see you later," I said, as I crossed my fingers behind my back. Number 4, things I learned in isolation. It is afternoon. It is time to put on pants. Obviously, it seems like a lot of us are sitting around in our pajamas, afternoon, and possibly all day. Oh yeah. This post scored about 40 responses, 24 likes, 16 laughing faces, and 10 comments that ranged from, "Why?" "Oh no, not real pants," followed by 3 exclamation points to, "What's the rush?" Question mark. You know. Oh, and then there was one comment from a friend of mine who said, "I am never wearing a bra again." Now, honestly, how a bra came into a discussion about pants, I don't know. But I do understand the sentiment. I may have put on pants, but I have not put on a bra. Almost a month. I digress. They are calling this COVID-19 now. CO for corona, VI for virus, D for disease, and 19 because it started in the year 2019. We love to abbreviate. I think it gives us a sense of power and control. And honestly, it doesn't sound quite as frightening as what it really is, right? You know, everything that I have read, there are 2 ways of slowing this COVID-19 down. And one is put on a face mask, The other is to exercise social distancing, which is just a fancy, less threatening way of saying, stay the hell away from me. Now, as to the question of face masks, well, the jury's still out on that one. You know, in New York City, everybody's wearing them. Where I live, no. Except for me, and I'm wearing two. Oh, you know, it had been so long since I had seen that little lizard, I began to think maybe he had escaped after all. Wrong. I saw him this morning when I came down to breakfast, stuck to the patio door. It's a glass door. So obviously he thought he was almost home free. However, he was not. He looked at me. I froze as I slowly reached out to try to catch him with my hand. Then I suddenly realized I was about to touch a live lizard with my bare hand, and I jumped back and screamed, and he fell to the floor. But I still felt like I could catch him if I could just slow him down. So I reached for a magazine. It was an old New Yorker dated February 3rd, 2020. It still had the listings of the Broadway shows that were scheduled to open that spring. Anyhow, my thought was I could just drop it on top of him, and then I could scoop him up in the pages of the magazine, and I could save his life, you know, without actually having to touch him. Ha! That little lizard ran from corner to corner as I ran behind him, pulling that magazine from side to side. I understand he might not have realized I was trying to help him. But I did freeze. The magazine's still in my hand as I watched as he ran under the bookshelf that had the TV, knowing full well that thing was way too heavy for me to move by myself. You know, I imagine he's still under there. I haven't seen him since then. You know, I'm actually beginning to get a little worried. I mean, if he doesn't come out soon, he might really die. Number 5, things I learned in isolation. My nose itches. It does a lot. I've noticed it before. And there are only 2 things that people unequivocally agree on. And one of them is to wash your hands for 20 seconds while singing happy birthday to yourself twice. And 2, do not touch your face, your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. So what do we do when somebody tells us not to touch them? We touch it. Of course we touch it. It's a natural phenomenon. You know, simple little things like that never used to be a matter of life and death. And now, suddenly they are. And it is driving me crazy. Fortunately, I am not alone. This post scored a total of 45 responses. That was 25 likes, 19 laughing faces, 1 red heart, and a total of 20 comments that ranged from all caps, yes, to 2 dire warnings, do not touch your face. Exclamation point, exclamation point. We do like to use a lot of exclamation points in Facebook. Exclamation. And then there was a weird comment from my cousin Billy, who posted a picture of me as a child and said, "Happy Siblings Day." Well, I hate when he does that. He just throws off the whole feed. I mean, how am I supposed to know people who responded to my post about my nose, or a picture of me and my sisters, ages 3, 6, and 9, standing by a Christmas tree with my dad, who passed away a couple of years ago at the age of 98? No one. I mean, unless you scroll through the phone and you read all those comments. How many people actually read all those comments? I mean, other than me. Oh, Billy. Oh, Mary. Mary. Happy birthday to me. You know, people are starting to protest now. They are demanding that we open up. To what? But they say no. It's their right to hug one another, to sit next to each other and to eat in a restaurant together. And it's not that I disagree, I don't. I just feel like it's too soon. I mean, the virus is still out there and people are still dying. Oh, I saw the pictures of the crowds that had gathered on the beaches that opened over spring break. Oh yeah, they say those pictures aren't real. But who knows what's real and what's not real on Facebook anymore? Actually, I'm sort of nervous that my job is going to start too soon. I don't want to quit, but I don't want to get sick. And I do understand that the fight for the economy is real, but you cannot take the money to the grave. Actually, we're really not scheduled to go back for another 2, maybe even 4 weeks. You know, I wonder if by then, some of the people that had gathered on the beach last weekend, I wonder if they'll be in the hospital next week. You know, I honestly hope that they are not. Number 6, things I learned in isolation. When you look away from yourself, shit burns! No! This was another solid toast. Not as solid as the one about my nose, but solid enough. Seems a lot of us are cooking for the first time. And we are burning everything from toast to tomato soup. And then there was this long harangue about cooking an egg in a microwave. It didn't turn out too well. So far, this post has scored a total of 30 responses and 12 comments that range from 12 likes to 18 laughing faces. Now, actually, I should not be burning anything. Do you know what I discovered when I discovered my stove? Was a frying pan. That I bought at TJ Maxx. You know, back when I first moved into my place, and I thought I might learn how to cook. It's a titanium pan. And it has a great big red dot in the center that's designed to signal you when it's hot enough to put something in it. The only problem is, it does not have a way of signaling you when it's ready to come out. You know, last night, I realized some nights are decidedly better than others. Not that last night was that bad, it wasn't. It just seemed to go on for days. You know, I'm used to waking up in the middle of the night, looking at the clock, figuring how many hours I have to wait, you know, before I have to get up and go to work, and I panic and try to force myself back to sleep. But now, since I don't have to worry about work or getting up at all, I pick up my phone instead. I know it's probably not a good thing to do in the middle of the night, but I'm curious, you know, to see if they found a cure. Well, they could have. I mean, they will. And it will probably be in the middle of the night. It just wasn't last night. I don't want people to know I'm up, so I don't make comments. I just try to remember the ones that I like and wait until morning. No, instead I just sit in the dark and scroll through the phone looking for news from reliable sources. I don't want hype. I don't want hope. I just want to know something. Anything. I think we all do. Actually, you know, it rained last night, and I think that's what woke me up. But I didn't run downstairs to bring all my furniture in now. It wasn't a tornado warning, just a severe weather watch, you know. And by the app on my phone, it looked to be clear by morning. But I went downstairs anyway, and I flipped on the light of the porch, and I looked outside. It was a hard rain. But you know, in a way, it was comforting to realize I had survived hard rains like that before, and I trusted my porch not to flood. Number 7, things I learned in isolation. I can still procrastinate things I do not want to do. I mean, like paying bills or cleaning the house or updating my will. Oh yeah, that was something I should have done a long time ago. You know, back when I found myself unexpectedly in the hospital. But now, with people catching this virus and dying in 2 weeks, it seemed imperative. So I called my lawyer, and I got the revisions last week. I know, I need to read them, compare them to the original, sign them, get them notarized. Not an easy thing to do in the middle of a national lockdown. But I just can't seem to find the time. There's shopping on Amazon. And there's, flipping through Netflix. Not to mention the number of times I get up to wash my hands. I just keep putting off till tomorrow what I should do today. But it's okay, really. It's not like I won't have time to do it tomorrow. Or the next day. Or the day after that. This post so far, when I first checked it, there were only 14 responses. Broke down to 10 likes and 4 laughing faces, and just 5 comments. A few days later, I received 42 responses with 13 comments. I suppose when you're appealing to procrastinators, grocery shopping. Grocery shopping is like going into battle. You have to have a strategy. You have to plan, prepare, and attack. Strategy. I make an extensive list of everything I think I might need, picturing the layout of the store, and then I map out my route in my mind. Plan. The night before, I pick my clothes out by those that are easiest to wash and wear. Then I set my alarm for 7 o'clock to be out of the house by 7:30, into the store by 8. Prepare. I take my list and my pencil and I put it in the right-hand side of my purse. Then I take my cell phone and I put it in the left-hand side of my purse. Only to be used in case of an emergency. And then I take my Winn-Dixie loyalty card and my credit card and I put them in the zippered pouch in the front. Then I strap on my face mask, put on my clear plastic sunglasses, to protect my eyes. And I pull up my blue latex gloves, austerity of a surgeon. Attack. Once inside the store, I go for the cart that's just been wiped down and I head for the aisles, avoiding those that are too crowded and save them for later. I don't like to stand in any one place too long, so I usually take 2 of whatever I see and I get the hell out of there as fast as I can. $285 later. That is the most money I have ever spent at the grocery store. And when I get home and I unpack everything, and I wipe everything down with a Clorox wipe, every bag, box, bottle, and jar, I look at it and I think, what the hell am I going to eat? Then I strip down to nothing, throw my clothes into the washing machine, run upstairs naked, and I wash my hair. Now, if you would ask me in December, January, and February what I would be doing in March, April, and May, it would not be this. We hear phrases all the time about how life can change a dime in an instant in the blink of an eye. It's hard to comprehend. And as much as we say it, we never plan for it. I mean, how do you plan for something that changes in the blink of an eye? Number 8, things I learned in isolation. It is not easy coloring your own hair. Last time I tried dyeing my own hair, I was living in New York City in a studio apartment in the village that was no bigger than 10 feet by 12 feet. I mixed all the ingredients in the all-inclusive kit, and then I snipped off the top of the plastic applicator bottle, and I shook that thing for all the love that was in me, and I sprayed brown all over the walls. I never tried to dye it again after that, until yesterday. And I thought, oh hell, why not? So I put on my mask, my glasses, and my gloves, and I headed for Winn-Dixie, where it's been way too long in the beauty supply aisle. trying to find a color that would match my hair and guarantee 100% coverage. Oh. I finally decided on Lady Clairol, nice and easy, golden light brown, number G6. Now, according to the professionals on YouTube, the best way to wash your hair is to mix all the ingredients in a designated bowl and then use a professional brush to part and separate the roots as you color each section. Improvising, I found a large plastic storage container that I'd use to hold soup and a nylon makeup brush that I'd use to put on blush. I mixed all the ingredients in the soup bowl. I put on the plastic applicator and hair dyeing gloves included in the kit. And then I diligently started in on my hair. Slowly at first, being careful, ever so careful, not to color the blonde streaks that had been put there just 6 weeks ago. Could it have been just 6 weeks? Wow, 6 weeks. As I was waxing philosophically in my mind, I suddenly realized that the hair dye on the right side had been on for almost 15 minutes of the designated 25, and I hadn't even started on it. Suddenly it became a mad rush of parting, separating color and parting faster and faster as the roots were getting darker and darker. I had to use Lady Clairol, nice and easy golden light brown, number G6. I checked the box again, and then I reset the timer on the microwave in the kitchen. Waited. Ding! Actually, it turned out pretty good, you know. If I stood in the right light and I tilted my head just so, so I decided to take a picture for Facebook with my face mask on because I hadn't worn makeup in weeks. And I also was going to make a joke about self-distancing myself from myself in the mirror, which... Anyhow, before I went to bed that night, I checked this post one last time, and do you know, this post was the best post by far. I scored a total of 87 responses. Wow. That's 58 likes, 16 hearts, 12 laughing faces, and 1 wow, plus a total of 43 comments. Unfortunately, I had inadvertently included a picture of the box reflected in the mirror. And now Lady Clairol, nice and easy, golden light brown, number G6, has disappeared from the shelves. I should tell you, I have a special pair of shoes that I only wear when I go out. I leave them by the washer and dryer, and I spray them with Lysol before and after wearing them. I know it might seem like a little much, but honestly, really, in the scheme of things, in the big picture, I would hate to be taken out by COVID-19 simply because I brought that damn virus in on the bottom of my shoe. No. Number 9. Things I learned in isolation. I like the days better than the nights. You know, in the morning, I can wake up, I feel invigorated, revived, I can dance around the room and sing, "One more day." And I look like a fool. But it's okay if you look like a fool when you're in isolation if it makes you feel better. At night, nah, not so much. I feel sad, a little lonely, depressed. You know, I used to think that I was a night owl. Not anymore. You know, I'm glad this thing hit during daylight savings time, where it stays late until about 9. And I can go to bed at 10. This post, however, only scored about 22 responses and 1 comment. Oh, but it doesn't matter. I really think I posted that more for myself than anyone else. Facebook. Facebook has always been the go-to place to post pictures of your pets. Right? I mean, cute, adorable, running, sleeping, catching balls, and chasing sticks. And that's just of the owners. So I decided to share something of my own. I picked up a Sharpie and I drew the face of a cat on a white sheet of paper. It actually looked pretty cute. So instead of messing it up by trying to draw a body, I drew a box instead. And I called it my cat in a box. With all due apologies to Dr. Seuss's Cat in a Hat. And amazingly, this post scored 18 responses. And one comment. I say amazing, because this post had absolutely nothing to do with what I learned in isolation, except perhaps that I had been in it too long and I was losing my mind. Random things I learned in isolation. My hair dye does not last as long as it says on the box. Strawberries and blueberries cannot really be frozen. And when I look across the street, number 3, and I see those kids playing with their parents during the middle of the day, I can't help but think those kids are going to look back at this time as the best time of their lives. Governor Kemp has now opened the state of Georgia for hairdressers, massage therapists, tattoo artists, and bowling alleys. And I can't help but feel a gnawing sense of anxiety growing. I mean, my hairdresser called me and said, asked me if I wanted to get my hair done next week. No. I mean, I still value my life over my hair. And as for bowling, oh yeah, I never went bowling during the worst time. I mean, the best of times. I was not about to start bowling now. Oh, ding, 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 I found that almost. Update on the lizard. You will be glad to know that I was finally able to move that bookshelf with the TV out far enough from the wall, to see if that lizard was still there, dead or alive. It took me a while. But I stuck my head in and I flipped on my little red flashlight. Flashlight? That was a gift from a friend of mine who passed away before she was ever even able to see my place. Last time I saw Janet, we were eating lunch at Delaney's. She walks in with this great big gift basket full of housewarming gifts like chamomile tea and dish towels and a little red flashlight. Meg, you need a flashlight, honey, if you want to live alone. And she was right, as she was about most things. And I think of her every time I use it. When things go bump in the night, just do it. Actually, to my relief, when I flipped that little flashlight on, there wasn't anything there. No dead lizard. No lizard barely alive. Nothing but dust bunnies. And they've never been alive to begin with. And I began to think, I was relieved because my little pet lizard was still alive. And I began to wonder where he was. Kitchen? The bathroom, the kitchen, my bedroom. Ooh. I need to tell you, I got a call from the nursing home yesterday. Oh, Mom's fine. But she fell again for the 3rd time in 2 months. They managed to get her up and get her into bed, but they're monitoring her vital signs just the same. And despite everything that I wish were different, we did the right thing. Number 10. Things I learned in isolation. It is a terrible time for the phone to die. My phone died. And suddenly I felt paralyzed, terrified. And despite all my paranoia, I thought nothing of putting on a face mask and going to Verizon. Oh yeah, I got my little Honda CRV and I floored it over the causeway, totally ignoring the little red tire light that had been blinking for weeks. I did a wheelie into the parking lot of Verizon and I was relieved to see there wasn't a crowd. Then I realized nobody was there. Governor Kemp may have opened the state of Georgia, but Verizon, the company, still closed. Then suddenly I remembered. There was this little independently owned Verizon store in the shopping center with Winn-Dixie. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, it might be open. So I crossed my fingers, hopped back in the car, floored it again over the causeway with my face mask on, the air conditioner blowing so I could breathe to get to a store that was around the corner from where I lived. Miracle of miracles. It was open. And they required face masks before entering. So I felt rather smart to already be wearing them. When I stepped inside, I didn't see anybody. Hello? 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 I was afraid my mask might have been muffling my voice. And suddenly a young man came out and he sold me a new phone, he updated my plan, and he got me on the internet in less than 30 minutes. I have no idea what I bought. I signed up for, but it didn't matter. You know, when I stepped outside again, I felt relieved and grateful and a little hypocritical. I mean, I never would have gone out if my phone hadn't died. So, you know, when I got home, I downloaded my apps and I found my Facebook page still intact. So I posted the story. And I received 5 comments, 20 responses, 10 likes, 8 wows, 1 laughing face, and 1 hug. The care emoji was new. You know the one thing about Georgia being the first state to open up is everybody keeps saying, we are the canary in the coal mine. Like that is a good thing. And I wonder, do they even understand the moral of that story? I mean, the best case scenario for the canary is that it lives. The purpose of the canary in the coal mine is to warn the miners when it dies. More random things I learned in isolation. I can color my roots with eyeshadow. As long as I don't use eyeshadow with glitter. Number 2, I don't like being alone. And 3, chunky soup. Just because the label says that it eats like a meal does not mean that it does. You know, I learned a lot of things in isolation. But of all the things that I learned, I never expected to learn that the place that I live, this beautiful island off the coast of Georgia, it's not a safe place for everyone who lives there. You know, even before this pandemic, isolation became part of our daily lives. A young black man was shot and killed by 3 white men carrying guns and driving pickup trucks. It happened on February 23rd, but it wasn't until a video was released on May 5th that the men were even arrested. You know, the brutality of the video is undeniable. But it was allegedly released by one of the lawyers as a means of exonerating his client. I guess people will see what they want to see. But the fact of the matter is, those men would never have been arrested if that video hadn't been released. A rally was held on the steps of the courthouse on May 8th to mark what would have been Ahmaud Arbery's 26th birthday. Linda and Amy went. I didn't go. I like to say it was because of the coronavirus, and that is true, but in all honesty, I didn't go because I didn't know what to expect. An angry mob or a peaceful rally. To my relief, when I saw the pictures that flooded Facebook, what I saw was a peaceful protest, reflecting the hearts of the people that I knew. Linda said they were handing out hand sanitizers, the hospital was, and people were wearing masks and exercising social distancing. And yet and still, it's not a safe place for everyone who lives there. Now, this was not a story that I expected to tell, but it is one that needs to be heard. And it's not just up to the African American community to tell it alone. It's up to us, all of us, to tell it together. Because this is a story that's going to define who we are and what we become long after this pandemic isolation ends. Life can change in an instant. I I never believed that was possible before now. Not on such a massive scale, not the whole world together. I hope somehow it can change for the better. Oh! I found my lizard! I did. This time I was actually able to pick him up and put him in my hand. Probably because he was weak from hunger. And I no longer minded holding him anymore. This time I was able to take him over to the patio door, open it, step outside, and set him free. Thank you.